Welcome to our special coverage of the Noor Salman trial on clickorlando.com. I'm Justin Mormith. We are nearly a week into jury selection for the trial of the Pulse gunman's widow. And as this trial develops, News 6 is bringing you the latest on air and on clickorlando.com. We'd like to first give you some background on this case. Salman is charged with aiding and abetting and obstruction of justice. Prosecutors say she knew about her husband, Omar Mateen's plans to carry out the mass shooting and even helped him prepare for it. On June 12, 2016, Mateen opened fire inside the Pulse nightclub, killing 49 people and injuring more than 50 others. As far as picking a jury for this case is concerned, right now we're about halfway to the number of jurors the judge wants in the jury pool. He says there needs to be at least 60 in that pool before selecting the final panel. News 6's Nadine Yanis has been in the courtroom following the latest developments, and she joins us now live from the federal courthouse in downtown Orlando. Nadine, one of the prospective jurors today was questioned about their connection to the judge in this case.
Yeah, Justin, and that potential juror was probably the most interesting that we've heard so far today. Most of the jurors that were on the stand were kept in the jury pool. Of the 6 people called, 5 were kept, and that means that they probably don't have any implicit biases in this case already, maybe not against any Muslims, or news coverage hasn't affected them. So because of that, even though it's been smooth sailing in the courtroom, and that's exactly the type of juror that both the defense and the prosecution wants, it hasn't made for a very dramatic day in court. But this one juror was very interesting. Take a look. She was the first one to take the stand today, and she told the judge that she knew the judge because the judge and this potential juror's husband worked together through a law firm. Her husband works at a law firm, and they judged on some court competitions together. However, the juror herself didn't know the judge. Also, at that law firm where her husband works, there was another co-worker there who was hired by Salman's defense to do social media research on prospective jurors. But this one juror didn't even know about that either. But this is one of several times that we've heard, Justin, that social media is playing a role in the jury selection process. And I don't know if our legal analyst, Jason Johnson, can weigh in more on how the attorneys are looking at social media, but it definitely looks like they're learning more about the jurors than what we're hearing from inside the courtroom.
No doubt. Nadine Yanis live for us. Thank you so much, Nadine. And joining us now is News 6 legal analyst Rick Jancha. Rick, thank you so much for being here. I'd like to first ask you about this prospective juror's connection to the judge in this case. They were moved on into the jury pool. Do you see any possibility of that juror potentially being seated when this is all said and done?
It's very possible because the judge is not involved in the case except to direct it, control the proceedings, and make sure it's fair. Where he might be excluded by the prosecution is the fact that, or she might be excluded, is that her husband's co-worker actually had some involvement searching social media. So that's a direct connection between her husband's law firm and the defense in this case. So if I was the prosecution, I would delve into that further and, if necessary, probably use a peremptory challenge, which is a challenge that you can use for no reason to exclude a juror.
I mean, you just heard Nadine say that they know a lot about these jurors before they step into the courtroom.
Oh, absolutely.
That social media, diving into their social media is a big part of this.
Well, that's why I said it's unusual. In this case, they had the jury questionnaires that went out a couple of months ago. Never in federal court do you usually get in advance the names of the jurors or any information about them. You learn about them when they come to the courtroom.
Right.
So in this case, they've had the opportunity to study the jurors. They both hired jury consultants. Both sides have hired media consultants, and checking all their postings, their Facebook, their any type of Twitter accounts. I mean, they checked everything. So they already know a lot about these jurors before they come in, more so than in the usual case.
So we're a little bit more than halfway there. 36 prospective jurors now in that pool. Need to get to 60. Judge Byron was hoping to have this wrapped up by next week at some time. Do you think that is still a possibility based on the number we need to get to?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think as today, I think this morning, 5 of the 6 were approved to sit on the panel for the next round of questioning. So I believe it'll probably wind up Monday or Tuesday, is they'll have the pool from which to then start the real jury selection process.
So once they reach that number that they want to get to, as far as the jury pool is concerned, those other say, 450 or so folks don't need to come in and be questioned. They don't need to even get to them. So my question is, based on these questionnaires, have they set an order of people as far as when they're getting called in and being questioned by the prosecution, the defense, and the judge? Have they set that order? Or is that a random order?
I think it's a random order
Okay.
because, the juror numbers that they call seem to be out of order. I'm sure they select and let jurors know a couple days in advance which group of potential jurors are coming in. And so, the government and the defense both have notice in advance who's going to be in the next day and who they're questioning.
So,
but I don't think there's any set procedure as to, okay, we're going to accept this many men and this many women today, or this many people from Orange County and, Volusia County. I think it's pretty much fairly random.
I know you've been in the courtroom and listened to some of these questions that they've been asking these prospective jurors. It's been more or less the same 4 or 5 questions.
Yes.
Once we get into the jury pool and the jury selection process really starts to get fine-tuned, how will these questions change?
Well, the questions right now they're just broad general questions about access to publicity, their feelings about firearms, their feelings about the Muslim community and religion. When they bring the 60 jurors in, they're going to be individualized, specifically addressed to that juror and their background, their experience, delve further and deeper into their actual personal feelings and biases.
I know that each time it seems to be, I don't know, about 45 minutes to maybe a little bit more than an hour for each person when they start coming through the door. How long will they spend on this next process? How long do you think they're going to spend on each person as they come through?
Well, they're going to bring them in as a group.
Okay.
And then they question them as a group, and then they'll sit them in the jury box. And
all
then
60 at one time, or they're going to be...
Well, as a general rule, all 60 would be in the courtroom. I'm not sure what Judge Byron's going to do in this case.
Okay.
But generally, you bring in the whole veneer, and then you ask general questions of the veneer, and then certain jurors are placed in the box randomly, of course, and then those that are in the box are questioned individually. You can either be stricken for cause or peremptory challenge or accepted. As jurors are stricken from that box, they will then substitute other jurors in, and then the individual questioning will be directed towards them.
Well, jury selection is about halfway there,
Yes.
making some progress. I know it's not the most riveting of processes, but it's a very important one, and that's why they're taking their time and being so tedious. Rick, thank you so much for being here and breaking down everything with court today. We hope to see you back tomorrow. We have everything that you need to know about where you can go about this trial on clickorlando.com. There it is right there. Jury selection begins in the trial of the shooter's widow, Noor Salman. Clickorlando.com/Noor Salman is the place to go. You're probably already there. So join us tonight at 6:30 for another discussion with News 6 anchor Ginger Gadsden, investigator Mike DeForest, and legal analyst Whitney Bone. You can watch it all live right here on clickorlando.com/Noor Salman trial. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. I'm Justin Mormith. Take care.